Good morning, Jelly Bean. Happy Valentine's Day. I was thinking the other day about how every great love story deserves to be recorded in history. Cleopatra and Caesar had Antipas to record their love story. Romeo and Juliet had William Shakespeare to record their epic, incredible love story. Ron and Hermione, they had J.K. Rowling, right? So every love story that's as great as ours deserves to be written down and recorded in the pages of history. So on Valentine's Day 2013, here is my tribute to 7 years, 8 months, 1 week, and 4 days of being married to you. Here's my chronicle of our love story. It all started in college with a first kiss. On the beaches of Panama City Beach, Florida. Well, sort of a first kiss, unless you want to count the other 6 or 7 first kisses. But I remember this moment, sitting with you on the beach, thinking about how you were the most pure and valuable and amazing thing I had ever seen in my life, and how I just wanted to honor that and lift high. And I was so scared to death to kiss you, even though I wanted to so bad, because of your purity and how highly I thought of you. Well, it wasn't long after our first kiss that I put on my fancy blue date shirt and decided it was time to put a ring on your finger. And you'll notice in this picture, it's right there that your engagement ring is in my pocket. So we went out to the little prayer tower out at New Haven Retreat Center, and you entered into a room filled with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hearts from our friends and our family, people like my mom and dad and your family, and Dan Antoine, and Amanda Conrad had written us notes to wish us luck on our engagement. And I remember getting down on my knee and telling you I love you for the first time, and you said yes. And then we worshiped together, and I will never ever forget watching as we worshiped. You actually were signing as you looked out one of the windows over the fields up in the third floor prayer tower there. I remember watching you signing your worship to the Lord and thinking, that is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen in my 23 years, and it is the most beautiful thing I will ever see, and that remains true to this day. Well, this next picture makes it obvious why you would, of course, have picked me based on the outstanding hair here. I mean, look at that bad boy. So it wasn't a few days later that we decided to get our engagement pictures taken and wandered around Augie's campus and went ahead and did that, celebrated. And then it wasn't but 6 months after of me being crazy and yelling about your dad and being an idiot about wedding planning and not caring, and you telling me I had to care, and then I didn't care, but then I had to care, that we finally figured out how to get to the altar, and we said I do, and then we got to cut our cake. And this is how the professional recorded it, and this is how it actually looked. Which one do you think is more us? In the one, I think this one, you're like going, what the heck are you doing, Dusty? Are you kidding me? What is going on? And you're looking at my measly little teeny tiny cut that you can hardly even see. And I remember dancing with you on the dance floor that night, and just being amazed as you were in your white dress that I had the best gift in my arms that any man could ever have asked for. Well, of course, no wedding is complete without a great honeymoon, and so we went down with Starbucks Cappuccino Girl and recorded this wonderful memory of us whitewater rafting down the old Colorado River. Why wouldn't you bring your Starbucks and your high heels? But let's be honest, our honeymoon wasn't all cool, because we had just enough time to make this thing happen on our honeymoon. That's right. Photo hunt. 7 years later, we're still doing the same thing for our date nights. Love it. Well, you come back from a honeymoon, and then, of course, what happens next? You need to move into your first apartment. This is right after we unloaded all of our boxes and all of our things, right before my dad started crazily putting things together without us asking him. So there you go. So you get married, you get engaged, you take your pictures, you go on the honeymoon, and then what happens? You get some friends. So we took a little vacation with our friends, probably the only vacation we'll ever get to take with our friends without kids. But there's some Lifetime's friends at the Cubs game for you. I believe the exact quote from the trip was, "Suck it, Kenny." Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Well, after you make friends, of course, no good thing can last forever, so you have to leave them. And then you and I got called, after many tears on our apartment floor carpet, to go on the adventure of our lives with these crazy people. People like Eni and AJ, Trowers, Mitch, Ben, the whole crowd. And we got to ride camels together, and we got to spend a special date one night where I wrote my favorite things out about you and attached each of them to a candle in our little Chinese apartment. We got to make memories in Thailand, in waterfalls, and trekking through the jungles on elephants. And what a year, and what a chapter in our love story that was. And then, of course, we got to go to the paradise that is known as Fargo, North Dakota, where we had some great things happen, fell more in love with you than ever, had to have someone to keep me warm in the frigid coldness, and then I knocked you up. Sorry about that. But that thing ended us right here, with me cutting the cord of our firstborn, Harper Lynn. And at 1 a.m. at Innovis Hospital, she was born. And a few days later, we would take this snapshot to remember the moment. And I fell more and more and more in love with you than I ever thought humanly possible. Well, what started in Fargo would continue on to take snapshots like this. She looks much better there. And then snapshots at Desi's wedding when she would be a flower girl like this. And then we would continue to fall in love and move back to the Sioux Empire and back to Sioux Falls, where our love story and the history of all that God has done in our love story would continue to the surprise of our lives that could only be celebrated by going to Burger Time, and eventually would lead us here to our 3 wonderful girls and a more full home than we ever would have thought possible. Allison, we have had 9 Valentine's days together now. We've had 7 anniversaries that we've celebrated. We've had 4 different homes that we've lived in together. We've had 3 children together, and all of it pointing to one unforgettable love that has been the highlight of my life. There is no human being that I would ever want to be with more than you. There's no one that's more fun than you. There's no one that makes me smile more than you. There's no one whose touch I want to feel more than you. And there's no one who I could ever, ever, ever love as much as I love you. I wanted to share a verse from Song of Solomon, chapter 8, verses 6 and 7. This verse reminds me of you. It says, "Place me like a seal over your heart, like a seal on your arm. For love is as strong as death, its jealousy unyielding as the grave. It burns like blazing fire, like a mighty flame. Many waters cannot quench love, rivers cannot wash it away. If one were to give all the wealth of his house for love, it would be utterly scorned." My love blazes more bright today than it ever has for you, and no amount of wealth on all of planet Earth could ever buy away my love for you. So Allison, I love you. Thank you for spending these last 7 years, 8 months, 1 week, and 4 days with me. I cherish you, honey. Happy Valentine's Day.